How are you doing, everyone? You feel that? You know what's coming? $200 plus is coming here with Palantir. I think that's what we're about to see here. I've seen Palantir break many hearts here, and I mean that in the I mean that Palantir has broken hearts in the atmosphere of I've seen Palantir hit $50 and people are like, what? I've seen Palantir hit $100 and people are like, no. I've seen Palantir hit $150. People went, this is ridiculous. No. And I've seen Palantir hit, essentially just a nickel shy here of $190. What's coming here with the situation is that Palantir is going to repeat that process 100%. And we've had more evidence show itself here of why that's going to happen here. So and for the person that's going to go ahead and write the comment like, you don't understand mathematically, it's overpriced compared to what the market cap is of the stock and all the ratio, friend, I get it 100%. Let me go and tell you, I get it 100%. But the thing that is going on with Palantir is that it is different. It is moving different. It has been different. It's been moving different. So with that, Palantir as of late has just received another partnership with Boeing here. So this is huge. And on top of that too, they've teamed up even more with the United States, UK military here. So there's a lot going on. So let me go ahead and give you a little history lesson, just what has happened here in the past 4 or 5 months. So before that Q2 came out, quarterly number 2 here, the last one we had that pushed over $1 billion plus in revenue, Palantir received deal right before that. So that money was not on Q2. Right after Q2, another deal. Now, and then in that spread of time, there's been other little deals here, there that we don't really know about, that they really haven't made it publicly known, okay? Just general business, okay? Now we've had more deals here. So this next quarterly here, in the last quarterly was 48% on top of the last one. This one could be essentially another 48% or 49 or 50. If this next quarterly hits 50% on top of the last 48% quarterly here, Q2, Q3 that will be happening here in the beginning of November here, this is what is going to pre and after drive up Palantir stock here into a $200 range. Now, there's already analysts coming out here. They're saying Palantir is going to be at 205, 210, 215. There's a lot of them saying 215 now. I don't think I don't think that's crazy at all. I really don't. I really don't think that's crazy. It's aggressive, absolutely, but it's aggressive for a reason here. This is only the third quarterly. Do you realize that? It's only the third quarterly. And obviously, too, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but too, at the end of October, we're expecting another rate cut. So if that rate cut happens, the market's going to be going crazy. What we experienced last week into the beginning of this week, that's what we're going to go through again, but maybe even stronger, because around that time frame at the end of October here, we're going to be producing quarterlies. All of these big tech stocks, bank stocks, everything is going to be doing round 3 of quarterlies here. So the market's going to be going crazy, and then the Feds come out and say, hey, things are actually moving okay. Tariffs still a little aggressive, but inflation a little aggressive, but we're still not worrying about it, and we're going to do this rate cut. Great. Job reports, they're not going to get better that fast, okay? But the market moves more. This could be the rocket fuel that Palantir is going to use all the excuses and just make the bears cry even more and just push into that 200, maybe 2. Who knows what those next 2 numbers will be. I think this is a real situation we're looking at right now. Friends, I've been here for over 2 years now with Palantir, and I have watched this stock move so aggressively. It has defined belief in the stock market, and I've seen it make a lot of people happy. I've seen it make a lot of people sad. This is just different. I think you have to, be in the mindset of going, Palantir is just different here. And I really do believe that the lighthouse that's been attached to the stock for a long time has been Alex Karp, been telling investors, if you pay attention to what Alex has been saying here, he's been telling investors, we got things happening over here. There's things coming here. Palantir is, and obviously he's the CEO. He's going to be biased, but he has been leaving breadcrumbs for the past 2-3 years here, if you've been watching him. And he still is 100%. And Dan Ives, why I put Dan Ives on the cover here is because Dan Ives has been a huge tool for it. I don't mean that. I mean that in a good way. He's been a tool to use for a guiding light for how where Palantir has gone here. I love Dan Ives. I don't mean that in a negative way, so don't clip that. But I mean he's been a tool in the right way for us as investors to use for this situation, to where I shouldn't have worded it like that, but he's been here saying that Palantir is just in this beginning stage of where it's going. Dan Ives is very much in this conversation of saying that there is no tech bubble. This is just going to be an ongoing situation into the next 5 years to a decade here of we're just seeing the beginning stages of where these tech stocks are going here. Palantir's just got into the party here with this huge, United States defense deals. Now we're seeing European defense deals, and we're seeing Palantir break into this other subject now of being this defining leader in AI and working with AI companies, and all this money when it comes to AI tech, all this is just it's mind-blowing, and really trying to nail down the broad view of that conversation. So I don't look, one thing I don't do with Palantir, I don't go into a candlestick chart and say, like, if there's a little more momentum right here, the volatility is a little rough around 171, but I think with the right progression, it can move up to 175. I am way past those conversations. Palantir is moving on deals, volume. It's moving on what if. It's moving on FOMO. It's moving on. They are still getting aggressive deals. Quarterlies are extremely aggressive. Alex Karp gives his interview, and people are like, "Oh yeah, that pumps us up." This is where Palantir is moving. It's not just moving on one little thing here or there. It's moving on many different platforms right now to structure itself into these higher numbers. I really do believe that Palantir is going to have one of the biggest pushes we're going to see here in Q3, and we haven't even got to Q4. That's what's so crazy. So in January, obviously, we'll round out the whole year here with Q4, but January 2026. But with this right now, we were already pretty certain around Q2 that Palantir. In the thing when that quarterly came out for Q2, analysts at that point were already releasing articles saying, like, hey, we just want to go ahead and put this out there. We are expecting Palantir to release another, billion plus quarterly per Q2. That was before even those other deals occurred. Now we've got more deals on top of the deals that haven't even been there. So, I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to release a $2 billion deal quarterly, but I do think that this could be a $1.23 billion. I mean, what if they release $1.5 billion quarterly? That makes me stutter. That would make this go to unbelievable numbers. When people say that stocks can't do things like this, I don't think, there's only a certain amount of stocks that I talk about publicly, but I'm going to tell you, like, I watch a lot of stocks. There's a lot of stocks that I watch the progression on and how they move. There are plenty of stocks that move with unbelievable volume. I mean, just unbelievable volume, just violent volume where you're just like, holy smokes. Palantir's seen some pretty aggressive volume, but it could get a lot more aggressive. Take for instance, has anybody been watching what's been going on with Tesla the past 2-3 weeks? I mean, if you don't think stocks can move aggressively, have you looked at what's going on? And this isn't the first time, like, Tesla's been doing this for almost 10 years probably. It's just like, I mean, it's crazy. But and there's plenty of other stocks that have moved aggressively. Oracle, for God's sakes. I mean, Oracle's been the past 2 years is like insane movement. So Palantir, it could get a lot crazier here, 100%. If you have a company that is very much in the zeitgeist and it's very much in this, it can back up what it's doing here. It can back up the numbers with more numbers. Palantir running so aggressively with share price, but two, coming out with these very aggressive quarterlies. And before the quarterlies even come out, they're getting deals. And after, right when the quarterlies come out, they get more deals. This is why you're paying $180 some on a good day at this point for Palantir. I would highly expect that Palantir could probably break into $200 here before the next quarterly. I think it will, especially with them getting these deals, these partnerships. Everybody's wanting to use Palantir for their business. It is pretty obvious, and I think this is going to be what you're going to see in 2026. You're going to see Palantir just getting bigger and bigger names, and more, a broader span of companies that they're working with. I wouldn't be shocked to see Palantir start to work with, obviously they've done things with Microsoft, now Boring and, Boeing here, Boeing, that'd be good, but Boeing here, but I think you're going to see more, just other big tech stocks that are going to be like, hey, we want to partner with Palantir. Hey, we want to use Palantir. We want to work with them. You're going to see more things like that, 100%. It's just a special situation. I don't know what to say else about it. It is special. It's unique. And that's okay to admit that. I still think even if you're buying Palantir at 170, 180, even my God at $190, you're still probably going to be in some big profit zone around November 10th to November 15th when that quarterly comes out, when they release it, because Palantir will probably be moving really aggressive. Now, of course, after that quarterly, a week or two after that, shy of that time, somewhere around there will be a massive sell-off. But the new ground floor will be built into into Palantir here. And that new level with Palantir could be somewhere around 180. The bottom could be around 180, 190, and it will start working its way back up into $200. Is that not crazy? Is that not crazy? Think about that. That's crazy. So, whether you're trying to swing trade in and out of Palantir, these next few weeks, you're probably going to do very well, especially getting closer to this quarterly. And two, regardless, here's the golden egg that you should know. Before the Feds even talk, the market is going to be pushing up into that meeting, because the market's going to be betting that the Feds will do another rate cut. 100%. So, I would highly expect that everything that we just went through here, we're going to see a very resembling market here, resembling that in the next 3 to 4 weeks, 3 weeks probably. So, yeah, friends, I want to see everyone do well in the market. I love when people do well in the market. I don't want to see anyone lose in the market. What's the fun in people losing in the market? I think everyone should work together. I really don't, I hate when I see people make fun of people in the market. I really do hate that. I think we should all work together and try to help one another. I really do mean that. I think the market should be used as a tool where people should use this to change their life, to fundamentally help themselves, help their family, do things like that. Why would you want to see anyone struggle? There are ways to make money in this market, 100%. The market is the way for people that don't have a lot of money, for the poor person, for the person that needs a little more each month, each week, for them to come in here and day trade, to swing trade, to change their future, to take control of their own retirement. The market is a tool to do that, and I think we should all help each other. And I think Palantir is a great example about with what is coming here in the market. So, I take the Dan Ives camp, where I'm just like, I believe that AI is going to continue. I just don't. I get the bubble conversation. I get the bubble thing where they're like, this is the .com bubble. I get I get the similarities, but what I don't get is that at that time frame, in that moment, in the early 2000s, we didn't have NVIDIA, we didn't have Apple, we didn't have, the Microsoft, we didn't have those companies producing insane quarterlies of what they're doing right now. We didn't have all these new tech stocks that are rising up so high. One thing that doesn't get talked about in those conversations on I'll say this, I'll shut up, on these TV shows where they try to like doom and gloom and talk about, things are going to pop. They're not talking about all these newer tech stocks. They're not talking about all these low cap tech stocks that are actually doing pretty well and getting aggressive. Soundhound's coming out of nowhere. Palantir could be put in that camp where Palantir's rising up very much. Oracle, for God's sakes, Oracle's making insane money. They're not talking about these. Fundamentally, there's a reason why our stock market is the hottest and strongest market in the history of any country, because we have the biggest companies, we have the biggest tech companies, and they're still producing and breaking quarterlies. That is still we haven't hit this point in the market where all the tech stocks have just flatlined. It's been quite the opposite. It's been quite the opposite. So that's where I look at that bear conversation and people go, well, it's a bubble, it's going to pop. Of course, there's going to be tidal waves. There's going to be moments of Jerome Powell gets up and says something, or some reports come in bad. There's going to be thunderstorms in the market, 100%. But, you've got to hold on to the raft and try to, stay strong and get through the clearness here. And I think that there's still greener grass that we're going into here with this market, 100%. That's just me. I'm biased. I'm going to be positive. I have to remain positive into this market. So do what you want with that. That's just me thinking. But friends, I want to wish all of you the best of luck. I think the investors are going to take back the market here soon enough. I think this doom and gloom red in the market here will start to wrap up, and we'll start painting this with some green brushes here, and we're going to see a lot of these things start to get back here, get some volume, and stocks will start to move here again. So friends, bye. I'm really leaving this time. Bye.